Right, so in this video, I'm going to be going through quite a lot of things, and so let's get started. So first of all, we're going to start to add sound, because at the moment, you can't hear anything when the enemy blows up. So I'm back here at this point in the game. I've removed the other enemies, I can fly around, I can shoot, and the enemy does die after 5 hits or whatever. But the enemy dies, so we want it to go bang, basically. Just to keep you updated with what's gone on so far, I have downloaded a free assets pack of some explosions. I'm going to use these ones. I don't think they're particularly good, but they'll serve for the purpose of this this video. I could also add a bullet play. That's rubbish, but I'll use it. Whatever. So anyway, there we go. So first of all, I'm going to create an empty object called sound controller, because that's what I do in how I code things. And of course, we're going to create a script called sound controller. And then I'm going to drag it onto the sound controller. Got to wait though, because it hasn't compiled. And then there we go. So drag it on. So let's open that up and start adding what we want. Now, just to be clear, this is not the best way to do this. Probably with some sort of scriptable objects would be better. But this is simple, it works, and it's what we're going to be using. Okay, so we've got this sound controller object. And we're going to add in a clip and an audio source. Now, you only need one audio source. Audio source is like going to make the sound, basically. It's the part that you set up the parameters for the clip to play, but we're actually going to do a different way. We're going to do an audio clip first of all, but then we're going to do an array or a list of clips so that we can pick a random one. Okay, so that's going to be called clip enemy dies. And then we'll save it. We'll go back. We'll let it do its thing. All right. And then we're going to add an audio source onto this. Okay, brilliant. Don't worry about the clip, because we're not going to... You can set up a clip in here and then say play with all these settings. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to send in the clip that we're going to play. So we're going to use that audio source there. And then we're going to pick one of the clips from the free pack. I'm just going to pick the first explosion. Okay, so there we go. Now, the thing is, we want the sound controller to play a sound when the enemy dies. So now I'm actually going to pause here, because I want to get you into a problem. Now, I could make this something called a singleton itself, which I'm going to go through in a minute. But we need access to the sound controller easily. And that's not actually easy to do, because I could drag the sound controller into enemy here. But then I've got to drag into every object that wants to play a sound or do something like that. So I'm going to, in a second, show you something which is called a singleton. And we're going to do something called a service locator. So I'm going to put the script straight in, and then I'll explain what it does. But really, you can just use them, okay? So anyway, I'll just get the script and I'll put it in. Right, so here is the service locator script, which I've added to an object called service locator. So what this is something called a singleton. And what a singleton is, it's basically a class that has a static variable, okay, static variable of type itself, okay. So essentially what happens is this class can only ever exist once, because what it does is it creates a version of the class itself but static inside it called instance. Then on the awake of Unity, if this hasn't been set, it will set it to itself. If it's been set before, it will destroy it. Now, it's not a great explanation. But what you've got to understand is this is a class that will allow you to access all the information you put in here that's public, and there can be only one of them. So if I add this twice, you can just use this. You don't need to really understand the massive about it. You can look more about singletons online, and there'll be a much better explanation. And I don't want too long a video, because they are quite a video in themselves. But you've got to understand is, imagine this is a class that only allows one copy of itself to exist. Right, so here I've got the service locator here with the script on it. Okay, if I duplicate that, you will see on the second object the script will disappear. See? Because it only allows one copy of it to exist. And that one copy is global. Okay, you know, it's not good to have sort of global variables, but this way we've got one global thing, and then the rest aren't global. So the rest you need to access. But there. So we're going to put the sound controller as a child of the service locator. And inside the service locator, you can see that I could drag and drop this in here and not do that. I could actually drag the sound controller in and not do what I'm doing in code. And actually, arguably, it's better to do that. But probably I should drag it in and then go if sound controller equals null. So if I've forgotten to drag it in, it will get it'll check the child for it. But basically what's happening is in the start, so ignore this. This is all about, you'll just see how it works. You just need to put this in basically. And then obviously put anything you want to access. Now we want people to be able to access the sound controller. So we've made a public version of it in here. Okay. Now in our sound controller, okay, so if we go back there, so anything can access the sound controller. If we go to enemy, so when an enemy dies here, so la 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 la. So there we would want enemy dead. And then we would make a private void enemy dead. We'd put that, destroy the game object, and then we're going to play the sound. We'll play the sound first. So now we need to access the sound controller. So how the hell would we access the sound controller from the enemy? Right. Well, this is it. You do service locator dot instance, and now you can access anything that's in here that's public. So that's a sound controller. So we could do dot sound controller. Now we have no scripts yet to play something, right? But we're going to add that. So I'm just going to comment that out in a second. So we're going to add the script to the sound controller to allow this to happen. I'll put this in the description, the service locator scripts. So anyway, right. So we need a play enemy dies clip. So we're going to do a public void play enemy dead. All right, and then we're going to play it. I'm going to make these should really be serializable field privates. There is no real reason whatsoever to make them public because we're not going to be accessing them directly. And then we're going to play the clip. Now, how do we do that? So it's audio source, that one, not the class, dot, play one shot. And this will play just one clip of whatever is in there. It'll play it once, just one execution of the thing. So we've got play enemy dead. And now I can go back to my enemy, take off this. Now I've got dot, there'll be play enemy dead. All right, so when the enemy's dead, it's going to play that thing. So let's just quickly go through that. I've added a public method to sound controller called play enemy dead that plays the clip. Now later we're going to put 3 or 4 clips in. It's going to randomize it, but not right now. The enemy is going to access that via our service locator. Because the service locator is a singleton, you can type that from anywhere. Any object can type that and it can access anything that's in here. It saves a lot of getting and finding things. That's quite annoying in Unity. So now I just don't think you'll be able to hear it. I'll put my desktop audio up on the recording. And let's just check if I've put a clip in. Right, so we should get the noise now, whether you hear it or not. If you don't, I'll just say it happened because I don't record the desktop audio normally. I'm assuming you heard that, or at least will have heard it through the mic. So, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, it works. But at the moment, it plays one sound. Okay, now we don't really want it to play one sound. We want it to make more than one sound. So, yeah, so we want to make more than one sound. So, yeah, so we'll just do that. So what we do is we go back to the script here, and we're going to make this... basically, you've got 2 choices. You can use a list or an array. In general terms, it's better to use an array when you're not going to change it. And since we're not going to add any clips like in runtime, why am I doing that? That's a completely wrong thing. I should be not in the service locator, obviously. I should be in the sound controller. So we should have an array of clips like this. Now I'll just put 0 in there for this quick second because obviously it's now trying to access 0. We go back to here. Go to our sound controller, and now we've got, and I'm going to add, I don't know, 3. That one. They're all terrible anyway. That one. I'm not going to play them all for you. You can hear them in a minute. I will, of course, put, let's put some more enemies out. Yeah, there we go. Wow, look at these enemies. Whatever. So, yeah, so we'll do that. And then we're going to get it to play the clip randomly. So now we've got 3 clips in there, right? But we need to pick one at random. So it's not very difficult, really. You just need to get a random number here. So you just need to go, probably I should go like var, okay, you know, like, clip chosen, I don't know, equals random dot range. It's finishing it off for me. I'm being an idiot. There we go. What's going wrong with that? What's wrong with that? It's a float. Next one. Oh yeah, 0, comma length. And then put clip chosen. There we go. So we're going to get a random number between 0 and the length of the clip. Okay. And probably we should, just to be super good, if we want to be good coders, we should do if clip enemy dies dot length. Okay, that's turn caps lock off, and then just copy this because I'm super lazy. Equals 0, and then just return, which will just quit the method instantly. I know it's void and you can't return, but you can return nothing and it will quit. So that just checks if we haven't put a clip in, it doesn't crash. Okay. Probably here, if I was doing this properly, I'd write some sort of debug warning out saying no audio clip, a blank audio clip attempts to play in object sound controller or something like that. And I would write an error. I'd have an error thing in my tools, probably here. I'd write some sort of error out. But anyway, let's not worry about that. So yeah, there we go. That's going to work perfectly. Should work. If not, I've done it wrong. So we should get different sounds now. Now, I don't know how much different they are. Let's hear that one. That was long. And that was long as well. They all seem to sound exactly the same. Okay, that was definitely shorter. Okay, now let's be smart about this. Why don't we put completely different sounds in? Why did I put? Obviously, they're all very similar. This is a free pack, so now we've got completely different sounds in. I've got a bullet impact, a monster bite, and explosion. Oh, that's quite cool actually. Yeah, there we go. So we can hear it's working. Oh, there we go. We've got all 3. Right, there we go. That was better. These explosions are not very good. I mean, they all sound the same, really. So, what you get for a free audio pack off of the asset store. So there you go. So that's it. Quite simply playing a sound and with a bit of randomness. So obviously now I could have a different sound controller for different ones. Yeah, I just put all my sound clips in here. So we could easily add another one for bullet. Just do it again. Clip player shoots. Okay, and then I would just copy this. And you might see here that we've got quite a lot of repetition here. So look, probably I would refactor this. So I would turn this into I wonder if it'll do it for me. A new method. I'd probably write a private void play random, which takes an audio clip all like this, all random sounds. Right. Okay. Then copy this in. Okay, and then I've just got to do play random, clip player shoots. And then here, play random, clip enemy dies. I called it random. And I typed that wrong twice. So if you have bad eye, there we go. So now, right, we get there in the end. My typing has gone to pot. So now I could easily add. I mean, obviously, you could then just, these just need to be one line now, like this. And you can see how much simpler that is than having that code in there every time. There we go. And that'll work fine. So now all I've got to do now is drag some sound effects in for the player. There should be a clip player shoots. By the way, I think you can drag 2 in at once like this, but I'm going to drag Let me try that. Oh, I've lost the sound controller. So I'll lock it. I mean, this is, I'll do handgun and bullet impact and autocannon and drag them in to there. No, can't do that apparently. I'll talk rubbish. I think you can though. Oh, there's a way of doing it. I've done bloody punch, hand cannon, and cannon thing, and it's got a moaning at me about my sound controller's not got a semicolon. So let's do that. Thank you. Right, and now obviously I've got to do it when the player wants to shoot. I just realised I've got to do that. So it goes to the player controller. And again, this is the beauty now. So I go to my shooting. And now I can just do service locator because I don't need to access, dot instance, dot sound controller, dot player shoots. Now it's perfectly possible that I put the clips for the player shooting in here and I send in an array to just a generic variable. But I do prefer to have all my clips in one place, like the sound locator, or even another object, and I drag it in or something. So I'll have like player sounds, enemy sounds, so I can do it here and I can very quickly see what the sound effects are. Remember, you could have multiple objects and then, link them up. But anyway, there we go. Let's shoot and hear some weirdness. Anyway, you got the gist. There we go. That's this video done. On to the next one.